Hi, this is Carlos Cousins, and the following literary narrative passage question is asking about what the passage indicates. You want to find direct evidence for your answer here. Now, they don't give you a line number, so this means that you have to go from memory, so read very closely every time you're giving a prose fiction or literary narrative passage. And remember sort of the relevant quotes here. Now, this is the most important part of the passage for this question, as you'll see, and that's why this is all I have on the screen. But let's go ahead and go through these. Does the passage indicate that Gordon is not surprised by Dean's disdain because he feels that Dean has always been too proud? Well, let's go ahead and first just consider whether or not the passage says that Dean has always been too proud or that Gordon believes that. We find that nowhere in the passage. There's no quote here that says that Gordon believes Dean has always been too proud. We might believe that from this interaction. Dean really acts like a very, very proud person. He's not very nice, but that doesn't seem to be said anywhere. Again, same here. Let's just leave it at this level for now. Is there any evidence that Gordon doesn't respect Dean at all? You don't see any evidence of that either. Yeah, sure. At the end, they seem to both hate each other, but at the beginning, they're very excited to see each other. They were friends from college, so it seems like there is some respect. And then again, would that even be, if that was the case, the reason why Gordon is not surprised? Well, it doesn't seem like Gordon was not surprised because of Dean had no respect for him, or because he had no respect for Dean. There's just nothing in the passage says that. You have to find it, and it's not there. Does the passage indicate, at the very least, that Dean is ashamed of having to ask Dean? That Gordon's ashamed of having to ask Dean for money. Well, this we see, and I do have this here. Now, the question after we find it, of course, will be whether or not that is a reason for Gordon not being surprised at Dean's disdain. But let's begin with whether or not this is true, first of all. Well, he does when his friend says, "I can't decide right off. That's a lot of money. It'll be darn inconvenient for me." He replies, "Do you suppose if I wasn't at the end of my rope, I'd come to you like this?" So it looks like Gordon here is saying, "I wouldn't do this regularly. This is, a dire circumstance. This is out of the ordinary. I'm in a very bad situation. At the end of my rope, right? This is why I'm coming to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this. I feel bad doing it, right? He doesn't want to do it. We know at least that from this quote. Do you think I'm enjoying it? He's not having a really good time asking for money. So it does seem like he's a bit ashamed here. You could totally infer that this comes from shame at the fact that he has to ask for money. He's not enjoying himself. So sure. Now, is that a reason for which he's not surprised by Dean's disdain? Well, it sure looks like it. If you say, I can't decide right off, etc., and then you have to answer here, uh, sort of explaining the situation a little bit further, it doesn't seem like you are surprised. It seems like you were already expecting that they would say no and that you have to have this explanation that you probably, came up with in advance. It makes a lot of sense here. Again, those are inferences. Maybe that's not quite said. But it does seem to be here that he feels ashamed. It makes a lot of sense that if you feel shame, that's because other people will have a negative impression of you. So you don't feel ashamed of something unless other people will think negatively of you or somebody else. And in this case, that somebody else would be Dean, and that thinking negatively would be his disdain. So yeah, that's an inference, but you can't otherwise be ashamed. So this looks like a really good answer choice. Let's go ahead and consider the last here. Because Gordon is confident in his ability to get the money. Definitely not. We really don't know that Gordon's going to get the money. He has to insist and insist and insist. So that, we don't necessarily know. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. We just really don't know. That isn't said in the passage anywhere, indicated anywhere. So that makes answer choice C here the best answer choice. I hope that helped with this problem, and happy prepping.